Hey, what's going on everybody? My name is Chris. This is Ruby. This is Chester. Today I'm going to give you 5 reasons why you should not get an American Bully.
Here we go.
Alright, so one of the main reasons you do not want to get yourself an American Bully is if you don't have the time, you don't have the resources, or you're just plain unwilling to train them. These dogs are very physically strong and they're also very strong-willed and stubborn at times. Now, that being said, I think every single dog on the planet, regardless of breed, should get training, and I think it is required for all dogs to get training, to learn manners, basic commands, etc. But with the American Bully, because the bully breeds, the American Bully, Pitbulls, Staffordshire Bull Terriers, etc., have a bit of a bad reputation, we need to be exemplary with our dogs. We need to show that they are very well behaved, that they listen to us, that they obey commands, and putting in that extra time and effort is required with the American Bully. Now, that being said, they're not any harder to train than most other dogs. They're fairly intelligent, they do respond to commands, but you do need to put in that extra time. It is my belief that if you own an American Bully, you have to put in that extra time to make sure that they are exceptionally well behaved. You can bring them out to the neighborhood and they're not causing chaos, they're not intimidating people, they're not out of control. They should be in control at all times. Because they're so physically strong, you can't rely on your own physical strength. I'm a fairly big dude, and my 70-pound pocket American Bully, he can throw me off balance if he wants to kind of charge towards something he's interested or whatever. So as the American Bully gets up to the XL level, and if you're a smaller person, you can't rely on your own physical strength. They have to be voice commands, they have to be well trained and understand what you're asking from them. So you do require to put in some additional training work just so that this breed can shine and demonstrate what amazing dogs these really are and kind of get rid of that bad reputation. So number 1, if you don't have time to train or don't have resources to train, Pocket American Bully might not be the dog for you. All right, so reason number 2 why you might not want to get an American Bully is if you don't have the time or you're just unable to give them proper exercise. And that's not just physical exercise. I'm not talking about just bringing them out for walks or throwing the ball around the park. I'm also talking about mental stimulation. Mental exercise is very important for all dogs, and you're gonna wanna give it to your American Bully. So on top of giving them a daily walk, once or twice a day, depending on their energy level, maybe going to the park if you're allowed to go to certain off-leash areas, you're gonna wanna give them some mental stimulation. So that means things like food puzzles, that means basic command training, that means some trick training, even games where it incorporates both physical and mental, like tug of war, for example. You're gonna want to give them both mental and physical exercise. When you neglect exercise of both kinds, you're gonna see some bad behavior start to crop up. You're gonna see some destructive behavior from all that pent-up energy that they have, so that can turn into chewing things they're not supposed to be chewing, that can turn into digging up your garden, and it can even go so far as showing outward aggression towards other dogs, potentially other people, and we do not want that. Like I said in my first point, we want these bully breeds to really shine as community members, and we want to make sure that our dogs are very well behaved, great members of the community, so that we can get rid of that stigma around the bully breeds. So you're gonna wanna exercise and get all that pent up energy, and a tired dog is a happy dog. Anytime I take my dogs out and I exercise them, they are just cool and calm as can be. Their behavior is absolutely incredible, and they're a lot easier to train afterwards as well. So you give them a little bit of physical exercise and you come back and do a little bit of basic training. They're a lot calmer, they're a lot more receptive to things. So you're gonna wanna take the time to give them both physical and mental exercise. And if you don't have that time or you're just unwilling to do it, the American Bully is not the dog for you. All right, reason number 3 why you might not want to get an American Bully is if you enjoy your own personal space. The American Bully was bred to be a family companion dog. That's what their whole intent was to be a big muscular dog that loves being around its people, and I can attest to that. I had to close the door to this room so I could film this part of the video because Chester would be right here on my feet. He needs to be around me all the time, no matter where I am in my place. Whether that's on my feet when I'm working at my desk, if I'm laying on the couch, he's gonna try and get on my lap, even though he's a 70-pound dog and he's not really meant to be a lap dog. He thinks he's a lap dog. He needs to be around me at all times. He is super affectionate, he is so loyal, and he just loves being around people. If you're looking for a dog that's gonna kind of mind its own business, go sit at the other side of the room and do its thing, the American Bully is not going to be the dog for you. These dogs need to be around their people. They're always around their people. And if you want your personal space, American Bully is not for you. So reason number 4 why you might not want to get an American Bully is if you're living in a city, state, county, country, or even a condo complex that has breed-specific legislation in place. What this means is there are certain areas and certain governments and even certain strata boards that will not allow Pitbull type dogs. The American Bully does fall under that category of being a Pitbull type dog. That broad heads, their lineage related to the American Pitbull, they will be banned in certain cities or there'll be extreme restrictions on them. And so you really need to think about your living situation, where you're at, potentially moving in the future, if you plan to go from, a one rental apartment to another rental apartment or potentially owning something, there might be rules in place that prohibit certain breeds of dogs. Now, as unfair as this sounds, and I could rant on and on about what I think about breed-specific legislation, the fact of the matter is certain cities, certain countries, certain provinces, states, territories, etc., have laws on the books that either explicitly ban these type of dogs or extreme restrictions, meaning things like they can only go out in public if they're muzzled, they cannot go to leash-free dog parks, a whole gamut of different rules that are in place specific to that breed. So if you're unsure of your living situation or you're not sure of the rules and regulations within your living area geographically, I would definitely check on those before you get an American Bully. If you're not sure about your living situation, I would definitely check to see what kind of strata rules and condo board rules are in place that might prevent you from bringing your dog to a new living situation. A lot of things to consider, a lot of things to look at, but if you are in a place where you can't have that for either government rules or strata regulations, the American Bully is not going to be for you. So reason number 5 why you might not want to get an American Bully is if you care what other people think. You're going to have a bit of a thick skin if you own this breed of dog, because you're going to have people who are going to judge you, they're going to say potentially nasty things to you, they're going to cross the street because of how your dog looks. They have that big broad look to them, they have that big square head, sometimes they have their ears cropped. In my case, Chester does not have his ears cropped, but that still doesn't stop a lot of people from making rude comments to me occasionally, crossing the street, pulling their kids off to the side when we cross on the sidewalk. As well behaved as Chester is and how sweet he can be with some people, they still are quite afraid of him and they will make judgmental, ignorant, naive, and even fearful comments towards you. So you have to have a bit of a thick skin about that. When I had my Staffordshire Bull Terrier, I experienced something very similar. I've had her for a number of years, so I have grown used to certain things like that and have developed a thick skin. But with Chester, because he is a lot broader and bigger than a Staffordshire Bull Terrier, I've experienced it a lot more in the first 1.5 years that I've had him. And so you're going to probably experience that. You have to have a bit of a thick skin and you're just gonna have to deal with it. So if you're not able to deal with kind of criticism and comments from strangers on the street about your American Bully, it might not be the dog for you. So overall, I absolutely adore the American Bully. Obviously, I own an American Bully, and bringing Chester into my life has been one of the better decisions I've made. He's so loyal, he's so loving, he's so affectionate, he's just a big goofball with a big personality, and I absolutely adore him. With that being said, these dogs do require a little extra attention. Like I said at the very beginning, we want to make sure that these dogs are just exemplary members of the community. They are well-mannered, they are well-behaved, and they're obeying basic obedience and commands. We need to make sure that we are setting a great example for not just the American Bully, but bully breeds in general. We don't want to add to any sort of negative stigma that might be around this breed, and we don't want any sort of problems. Like I said, these dogs are very strong and they're very strong-willed, and so you need to put in that extra time, give them the proper exercise. And you also need to have your living situation figured out. We don't want to see these dogs in shelters because you have to move out of province or out of state to a different living situation. You have to be sure about your living situation, the rules in place, etc. So if you're thinking about getting an American Bully, I really implore you to consider all these points before you do so. And if you're ready to get an American Bully, you won't regret it. They are absolutely amazing dogs, and I can't say enough good things about them. So if you found this video valuable, please think about hitting that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you everyone next time.